Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr., and my co hosts are off yet again this week. But that's okay. I'm sure they're enjoying their time off. This week, we want to conclude our conversation on single Black mothers. We talk mostly about um, Black men, fatherless children, and kind of point out the importance of Black men in the family, in the household, raising their children. We point out the statistics, which have been pretty much devastating our community and negatively impacting our society here in the United States in many, many different areas of life for our children. Comes down to education, comes down to personal security, comes down to uh, learning how to be a man, learning the responsibilities of a man, of a father, um, the economics of the situation, prison, all of these things that negatively impact our community and our society start in the household. When you don't have a solid foundation to move forward, then eventually you're going to fall in one area or another. And I'm not saying that it's a panacea to have a father in the household or father figure in the household. What I'm saying is it's important. And the way God has designed the family is that there's a father, the head of the household, there's the mother, who is extremely important in the household, and the children who learn to become uh, adults and good citizens. Um, uh, they all need it all comes together uh, for the good. And so, yeah, last week we talked about a number of issues that our single Black mothers face, which focused in on, let's see, I just want to quickly go through a couple of them and then get to the ones that we did not get to. We were talking about the unique pressures on Black women to parent and provide, which is the case when there's no father or a male in the household. We talked about wage disparities, when parenthood is challenging, but it can be increasingly difficult to be an effective parent when your earnings potential is limited. And we talked to compared that to not only single white women, but to Black men compared to white men as far as earning potential. And there's a great disparity between all four of them, with single Black mothers at the bottom. We talked about the family structure. Um, yes, when the father is not in the household, that does not mean that the child or the children are without guidance from a male figure. The grandfather may step in, the uncle, uh, cousin, or whatever, or even a neighbor may step in to kind of provide some guidance. So they're not without um, opportunities for guidance. The point is that these are people who are not your father who are offering guidance. You we do get down to that nitty gritty. There's a difference between them. Uh, Other people stepping in and stepping up, and the actual father being there and doing his job. Then we went on to talking about career choices and the lack of benefits that a lot of single Black women, uh, mothers, face. I think we kind of closed with the conversation on childcare and the high cost of that across the country. But when your income is limited, it's even more impactful on you. And again, we're talking about a majority of households in the Black community headed by females. And so I want to just touch on two more aspects of that, of the challenges that our Black women face. And then I have a short video, which I think will say a lot. It's only a couple of minutes, but the point is that I do have one. We talk about debt and a single Black female mother. Another factor often overlooked is outstanding debts. A typical white household has 16 times the wealth of a Black one. In addition to more, in addition to more money coming into the household for white families, there may also be less money leaving the household. This is important to consider because a decrease in expenses decreases the need for additional income. Debt may include student loans, and we talked about that earlier, last week, that one thing about Black women, whether with children or not, they are interested in education. Okay, so that's not lost on our community, particularly from the mother's perspective. They want to learn, and they're capable of learning. So, but when we talk about debts, they may include student loans, medical bills, and utility bills. I mean, we've all heard the joke about, the teenage daughter complaining to their mother that you just, I just got a bill in the mail for the utility bill for the lights. You know, how did my name get on that bill? So people do what they have to do to survive, and a lot of times it spills over and negatively impacts others in the household. So Black young adults are believed to have 68.2% more student loan debt than their counterparts. You want an education, it's got to be paid for. Okay. Now, if no one in the household has set aside money for the child, and the child does not have opportunity to work and earn the money to pay for their education, you're going to go into debt to get that education. Okay, unless you get a scholarship, I understand that. And sometimes not everybody gets a full scholarship. Okay, so there may actually be some residue there that needs to be addressed, and student loans is typically what we go to. And Black individuals are significantly more likely to be sued over small debts like utility bills just because you're Black. Even seeking debt forgiveness is more challenging for Black individuals. Bankruptcy, a strategy that's still largely middle class phenomenon, is a way out for many. But when attempting to file for bankruptcy, Black individuals are more likely to be directed towards Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is more costly, less successful, and more time consuming than Chapter 7. Bankruptcy has also been found to yield less assistance for Black and Hispanic individuals. This is important to acknowledge as it is impossible to build wealth with multiplying debts. Now, let's talk about, to kind of conclude this conversation, the other factors that need to be considered. Black women have the unique responsibility of uplifting themselves while providing strength to their men despite a broken system. Families are interdependent. The conditions that affect black males also directly affect black females and their families. One should not ignore the role historic attempts at deconstructing the family and systematic oppression has had on black individuals. By the year 2000, more than 1 million black children had a father in jail or prison, and roughly half of those fathers were living in the same household as their kids when they were locked up. Disproportionate mass incarceration of black males must be accounted for, with the cumulative effects of income disparities, difficulty in family structure, and the cost of living. It's easy to see that black women face unique challenges. There is no magic wand to wave away these issues. By studying the unique challenges faced by black women, we can work to find a solution to many of these problems. Fortunately, the black community is one of resilience and strength. Black children are growing and thriving despite the many odds stacked against them, but they could actually do better, and we could have more success if we address these two issues that we've been talking about here on this show, and that is uh, fathers having babies, making babies, and leaving them behind, walking away, finding an excuse. Um, there's no reason for that problem to be a problem in our community, especially disproportionately to other communities. They sell prophylactics without prejudice. You can say no. You can wait until you get your prophylactic or whatever. And it's not just an issue that should be remembered or placed on the man. The woman has actually more at risk than the man does. So, on both sides of that coin, we as a community need to do better than what we've been doing. I don't care what the media says about the lifestyles that we supposedly live. That's not necessarily true. We might emulate that type of behavior, but we don't have to live that every day. And we should teach our children that just because you see it on TV doesn't mean that that's something you should do. The people on TV are doing what they think they need to do to make money. And when they get their money, they may or may not do the same things that you see them do on television. So beware. Don't get tricked. Stay woke. This is life. This isn't just a moment in time where, oh, it'll be okay. Don't worry about it. You know, the people next door, they don't have that problem, or the people down the street or the people downstairs they don't have that problem. Yeah. So why would you put a problem on yourself by not protecting yourself when you're having sex, or by not telling your children that, yes, you saw that on TV, but that's only television. That's not real. Oh, it was live. It was like, yeah, it was live foolishness, because they're not going to run good things on TV on the regular, or on the internet on the regular, because they think you will turn away because you're bored. But trust me, when you're sitting there looking at facing death in the mirror, you'll be thinking, I really could have done better. I really knew better. And we need to impress that on our children. So let me get to my video, and then I'll talk some more.
In the words of the great Maya Angelou, we will continue to rise. The Low is a powerful poem that illustrates the strength and persistence of the Black woman. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, you may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines diggin' in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise up, from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. From And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Thanks for watching.
You know, I wanted to set that up a little better because in this episode, I wanted to make sure that I left a word of encouragement for the single Black woman, the single Black mother, and for our men, whether they're single or married. The point is we continue to rise because we're resilient, because God has created us in His image and not our own image. And so we owe it to Him to be all that we can be because of Him. And He's willing to help us. He longs to help us to achieve all of those things that we would love to have in our heart, all of those things that He has in His heart for us. So we need to stay woke. We need to understand that this life is not about me. It's about those things that God has placed in my life to address and to deal with as He would have us to do, to accomplish those things that He would have us to accomplish to His glory. Because if it's not for Him, where would we be? Oh, yeah, we would be right where we're at, trying to figure it out, running around, chasing behind foolishness. It's okay to entertain yourself from time to time with foolishness. The thing is when you start to practice it, when you start to believe it, when you accept it in your heart that this foolishness that's out here is acceptable behavior. I'm not going to go on and on because it's the kind of thing that when you don't really get the point, if you don't want to get the point, and when you finally get the point, it's something that you'll never ever forget because it just may be too late to turn around and recover from getting that point. Children are a blessing from God, and we should treat them like that so they can learn to treat their children like that and go on and on and on. So, with that, it's not a long show, but it is the show. It may not be as exciting as watching Law and Order or what do they call that? What's that? Love After Lockup or any one of those other reality shows. Trust me, you can't live like those people on television. And if you're living like them, you need to stop and think about how you're living, because that's just foolishness. And with that, let me just say thank you and God bless you. And I will see you again. I'm not going to say next week. Um, we may have a different show in the future, but this is more than likely the final episode of Crossing Bridges Talk Show. And I want to thank you for your time and support. And I say, leaving, uh, God bless you and yours. And we'll see each other again someday, somehow. Thank God.